I'm Shemeka Adams at the Loranger Branch Library, and we are about to do some custom journals. I love journaling and I love pretty things, but journals can be a little pricey sometimes. So I'm going to show you how to take just regular, everyday, inexpensive notebooks or even sketchbooks and turn them into custom journals. So this project was inspired by this book, Hey Kiddo, which is a book that I'll be book talking at our Facebook Live Friday, October the 16th at 3 p.m. So if you want to hear more about this book and more about the lyric books that are out for 2021, join me for that book talk. But as far as this project video, stay with me. We're going to talk about what you need to do, and I'm going to take you through it step by step. Now let's get set up for our project. So the things you'll need, of course, your notebook. You'll need acrylic gesso. This is what you'll use to prime the notebook so that your colors, the color on the notebook won't bleed through with the colors you choose. We'll also be using Modge Podge. I like the glossy kind, but there's also a matte finish. This is what we're going to be sealing the paint with and finishing the job off with. You're going to want to get some acrylic paint, some brushes. I'm going to be using washi tape to mark off edges. You're going to need a palette or a little saucer. I'm going to be using this inexpensive tablecloth for my drop cloth. As you can see, I'm protecting my clothes. And I even have a few pieces of old map and some scrapbooking paper in case I want to decoupage or do something really artistic. Got some really great ideas in that description box, and some of those links, you should really look at those. Oh, we're also going to need water. And you're going to need some paper towel. So get all your supplies together and let's come back and start the first part of this project. Now for the first step of our project, the priming. So you want to get your gesso acrylic. You can find it pretty much in any art shop or discount or dollar store. Actually, I'm probably going to need a little bit more than this because when you're priming it, you want to make sure you get a nice coat so your colors don't bleed through. I like to use a nice wide brush for this. I also like to use my wax paper to protect my inside page because these notebooks, you know, they have holes. So I put my wax paper in to protect that page behind it, and I just start priming. Nice smooth strokes all the way across. It dries pretty quickly too, and you're probably going to need to do more than one coat. I like to get it on a nice coat and let it dry, because when it's wet, you just keep going over it wet, then you just keep moving around the paint and thinning out the coverage. And it's okay if that's what you're trying to do. If you're trying to get a nice even cover, I recommend going over rather thinly the first time, smoothly, letting it dry, and then coming back and giving it another coat. And the amount of coats you use will greatly depend on what you decide you want your cover to look like. On my Galaxy cover, I didn't really use very much, if any, gesso because the notebook itself was purple. And I was going over it blue, black, and purple. And I wanted a little bit of it to bleed through, so it'll look like a nice galaxy. Give it some contrast. But if you want a good, solid matte cover, you're gonna probably want to do more than one swipe, and that's how you cover it. Now it's time to add some color. This is a notebook that I previously primed. This is a composition book. As you can see, I use my washi tape because I haven't decided how I want to do my edge. I don't know if I want to paint it, if I want to leave it black, but either way, it's protected because I use my washi tape and it's going to give me a nice clean edge. You can also see there's still some marbleization. You can still see that. That's on purpose. I kind of want it to come through a little bit, or that's the plan. I'm not an artist. This is just for fun. But you know, you don't really have to be an artist. Artists all about discovering, and that's the fun part. So I'm going to use green because I'm thinking this one is going to be my plant journal. And I like to start out darker in my background and move towards lighter colors. And I like to blend a little bit. So that's where your little paint tools come in handy. These are also very inexpensive. I found these at my local dollar store, discount store. Very inexpensive. So I'm mixing up some variations of green before I get started. And it's good to play with the colors and see how they make and how they mix. It also helps keeping it cheap because you can mix your secondary colors from your primary colors. And so you get to learn about mixing colors, complementary colors, contrasting colors, how to make different hues and tints. It's kind of fun. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm making a few different hues of the color green that I want to use. And I'm doing it with a solid green, a green with a little black, and I'm going to do a green with a little yellow, a little extra yellow, and white. And see what I get. And I'm going to use those colors to do my cover. When you're thinking about your cover, you're also going to want to think about, do you want to paint? You might want to collage it. Really good with the Modge Podge. You might want to do something a little bit more abstract. You can use stamps, pictures from other things. You can get really creative. I saw some really amazing stuff on Pinterest and on YouTube. And those links are in the description box if you are interested. So, I've got my colors in here. And now I'm going to mix them, see how they turn out. Since the one with the green and black is going to be the darker hue of green, that's the one I'm going to start with first. And it's looking pretty dark. It's good to have test paper. Let's see. Oh, that's still really dark. So I'm going to take that, a little swap of that, and a lot more green to it. And see what I get. Again, I'm not an artist. This is a journey of discovery. But I think that's really cool because then you get to discover new talents, new skills, new interests. Ooh, I like the way that looks. I'm going for it. Okay. I like this one. I like this one a lot. So, because I like my big brush to give me good coverage. That's the one I'm going to start with. So I'm going to make sure I get it nice and clean. Get the gesso off of it. And the thing about acrylic, you don't really need to keep changing the water. Just clean that brush right on off and go in. So I got my brush clean, nice and dry. It's relatively dry. And we're going for it. Oh, I like it. That's a pretty green. Now, I might not get the marbleization that I was planning on since I'm going with such a dark green to begin with. But that's okay. Because it was just an idea. And the cool thing about art is ideas change as you proceed. They do. They develop, they grow, they evolve. You started out with one thing, and then next thing you know, it's like, ooh. So I'm going to cover this, and then I'm going to show you, we're going to move on to the next part. Okay, so my first coat is dry. You can still see some of the white. I think that's actually a good thing. It ends up being slight color deviations that I used to think, oh, they did on purpose. And I don't know, maybe an artist can do it on purpose. I'm not an artist, but I like the way it comes out. So this is the color green that I made with the white and the yellow and the green. And I like it. Oh. Let's thin this out a little bit. I also found that if I do a swipe like this all the way from the right to the left, it'll give me a nice clean line instead of something that stops across the middle of the page. But sometimes I like that. It just depends on what the effect is that I'm trying to get. And sometimes when I don't get that effect, I just, wing it because I'm not an artist. If you guys like this project, you can do something, hit me up in the comments, let me know. We may be able to do something like this in our Facebook Live, kind of a paint with me. We can do the process from beginning to end together. I think that might be cool. If you like that idea, let me know in the comments. Now that I have my journal painted front and back, now I get to personalize it. So since this is going to be my garden journal, I decided to decoupage some flowers on here. So all I did was go online and find some floral clip art that I liked, and I decided to go big. Easier to cut, easier to paste. Time is of the essence. But I wanted to show you something. So this is the original flower. This is my little take on it. I just added some color accents that went with the color that was already in it instead of just the basic white. I also took my sunflower and added a few more sunflowery accents to it. You can add as many accents as you like, or you can keep it as simple as you like because it's your journal. So I'm going to take my glue brush, and it's not necessary that you have a glue brush, but I have one, so I'm using it. And I'm going to take my clip art that I cut out, and I did my little accents first. And I'm just going to apply my Modge Podge. Modge Podge is good because it doesn't make the paper bubble. And it gives a nice flat adhesion to whatever you're putting it on. We're also going to use this to seal the decoupage and the paint when we're done. So you want to get a nice good covering. And before I turned the video on, I kind of centered it and saw where I wanted it to go. Because once the glue is on there, you don't want to be moving this around too much. You kind of want to know where you want to put it. So, getting it up. And I'm going to lay it exactly like, very close to how I laid it. And I like to move from the center and move out when I'm laying it down. Prevents bubbles from coming up underneath. If you find it needs a little more glue, just go ahead and do that. Since we're not covering the entire notebook at this time, we're just putting on our decoupage applique. I can flip this over since the paint's dry and go ahead and do my sunflower. You want to make sure you have it facing the right way, because when I flipped it like this. It goes like this. So you want to make sure before you put your applique on that you put that in a place where you actually want it to go. Where's my sunflower with the little dots in the middle? Same thing. I'm going to kind of see how I want to center that, where I want it to go. And then I'm going to glue. Very simple. You don't have to be a master artist to do this. You just kind of have to be a little adventurous and not worry about making mistakes so much. Mistakes are part of the learning process. I actually learn more from what I don't do right than the things I do right. So I got this nice and evenly coated, and I'm going to apply this. And again, moving from the center out so that we're not making bubbles on what we decoupage. And I'll be back with the finished product. Okay guys, my finished product. It says bloom where you're planted. It's a Pinterest quote that I love. In the back, see, very nice, really simple. I could add stamps and texture and all different type of things, but I like this. So thanks for joining me for this video. I hope you make journals and enjoy it, and I'm going to have pictures at the end so you can see all the finished journals. Thanks for joining us. Bye.